was always the Jags. Always the Jags. Always the Jags.
Welcome into Always the Jags. It's your host, King Whale, where we talk about everything Jacksonville, everything Jaguars, everything Duval. Today we are discussing something that I kind of did these out of order, but the news has been hitting pretty quickly, and I want to do two separate videos on it. Well, one video covering these two different things. And that's how James Gladstone continues to cook. The Jaguars released Gabe Davis, but signed Emmanuel Ogbah. Now, I'll talk about the one I like the most, right? And that's the signing of Emmanuel Ogbah, because that is the exact move that we needed, especially for not bolstering our defensive line in the draft. But Emmanuel Ogbah has generated enough sacks to be a productive third rusher. We got him on a very modest deal. And with him in there, he can back up not only our edge rushers, but inside. And he can play inside. So he has positional flexibility. And at first, he didn't do too well with the Browns, but then he went to the Dolphins and kind of resurrected his career. And ever since, like I said, he's tapered off since a couple of big seasons that he's had with the Dolphins. But he fills the need that we have for a third edge rusher, I think, better than anyone else could have in the draft. And we've got a couple of young guys, Miles Cole and Jalen McLeod, that we drafted that could potentially learn behind him. And I'm not against bringing in someone else like Josh Uche. I don't know if he got signed by anybody, but somebody like Josh Uche, who is known to be like a liability in run support, but really good at rushing the passer. So we could put him in for obvious passing situations. But Emmanuel Ogbah was a brilliant signing by James Gladstone. And again, the man continues to cook. I am very excited by what he did this offseason. His free agency moves are kind of, I kind of grade that class as like a B, maybe a B minus, but his draft was an A, very solid A. And this move by Emmanuel Ogbah kind of pushes the free agency moves up to at least a B, maybe even a B plus for me. And then the Jaguars also released Gabe Davis, which to me was a bit of a surprise because you took so much of a dead cap hit. I thought he was going to be here for at least the next 2 or 3 seasons. At least the next 2, if not maybe the next 3, just because this cap hit was so low and the guaranteed money was so high. And that's why the Jaguars don't like to front load a lot of their deals. And to me, depending on your cap situation, it's okay to front load a deal here and there, especially that way if you know a player is going to produce for you, or if you just want to be able to get out of it easier before, a bigger contract kicks in, because Trevor Lawrence's cap hits for that massive deal he signed haven't kicked in yet. They're not going to kick in until probably about 2026, because he's got this year. He's going to play on his 5th year option. I think this year, because he was drafted in 21, 2, 3, 4. So 25, he's on the 5th year option this year. So he'll have a pretty nice cap hit this year. And then the year after that, 2026, that's when we're start seeing the cap hits from the extension that he signed. So a lot of those free agent deals make sense to front load them, because Trevor Lawrence's cap hits are going to start going up pretty soon. So releasing Gabe Davis, like I said, now we take a $20 million dead cap hit, and a lot of teams take that. But to me, for a player, he didn't do much, obviously. But I maybe would have kept him on the roster, let him compete, and then let him compete. And then he becomes a trade chip if he ends up playing well. And if he doesn't, then maybe release him. Because to me, you're still paying him. So it's not like, oh, well, you didn't feel like playing him anymore. Well, you're still paying him because it's a $20 million cap hit. That money goes to him. And now any other team can sign him for like maybe $1 million, because, I don't know if he'll honestly get signed. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes unsigned because he had such a terrible year. But any other team can sign him for like $1 million because he still made $20 million from the Jaguars. So that move was kind of head scratching, but I guess this new regime is just ready to turn the page. And there's something to be said for that. Locker room, maybe it was for locker room cohesiveness. I don't really know. I just know that, like I said, having Gabe Davis and Diami Brown already there with maybe Parker Washington in the slot will give us a lot of time to ease Travis Hunter in at wide receiver and toss him in immediately on defense as a cornerback. But it seems like this move just solidifies the Jaguars are thinking the exact opposite. They want Travis Hunter to start as a bona fide wide receiver from day one, and they want him to slowly ease into the cornerback room, which I guess makes sense. I mean, how crazy would it be if the Jaguars end up with the offensive and defensive player of the year for the same player, offensive and defensive rookie of the year for the same player? Because like back in 2019, it was a little misguided, but a couple of friends of mine were thinking like, man, if Minshew keeps balling and Josh Allen keeps balling, we could have the offensive and defensive rookie of the year. That didn't really happen. But now we're in a realistic spot to have the offensive and defensive rookie of the year in one player, which would be crazy. But I think, again, they're planning to ease him in. So I don't think he'll make enough impact on defense in order to be considered for that seriously. But again, Travis Hunter, he's kind of in charge. The quicker he picks it up, the quicker he'll get out in the field. So I'm rooting for him. I definitely hope that he dominates. And I was talking to some friends of mine too, and I was trying to rank like ever since the George Pickens trade, I've been trying to rank like the top wide receiver duos in the NFL. And most people agree Jaguars are already top 10. To me, that's pretty easy. Jaguars are already top 10. A lot of my guys who aren't even Jaguars fans think that Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter are already knocking on the door of the top five, like number 7, 6. My prediction is that there'll be a top 5 wide receiver duo by the end of the year once we've seen Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. in tandem. I think that they're both going to go over 1,200 yards this year, and I think they're going to combine for 20. I'm going to say 20 touchdowns. I wanted to say 25, but let's say 20 to 25. I do think 25 is possible, but let's say 20 to 25. Yeah, let's say 25 because he's going to be on offense all year. So my official prediction, Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter will be a top 5 wide receiver duo in the NFL. They will combine for 2,500 yards, 1,250 apiece, however you want to cut it up, and 25 touchdowns. And that's my prediction because the guys are both phenomenal and they have the right pieces around them in order to be successful. So we'll see. But yeah, let me know where you think the Jaguars duo ranks, within the top receivers. Are we, like I said, there's the Bengals, there's the Eagles. There are some top teams up there. But, if you compare some of the other top duos like the Vikings, I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. is already better than Jordan Addison. Obviously, he's not Justin Jefferson. But Travis Hunter, within a couple of games, we'll know if he's better than Addison. So you already have 2 guys that are better than Minnesota's wide receiver 2. Compared to some of the others, Puka and Devontae is a pretty good one. But I think most people in the league would take Brian Thomas Jr. over Devontae right now. Now, again, Puka is the top dog there. But if Travis Hunter kind of ascends to Devontae's level, we'll kind of see. But most people are expecting a resurgent season from Adams. And so I'm guessing we'll probably see that. And then, of course, to me, George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb is like that's knocking on the door of top 3. Probably in my top 3 because CeeDee Lamb is just one of the best wide receivers, and George Pickens is already a bona fide number 1. So let me know where you think they land. Let me know what you think about these Jaguars personnel moves, and don't ever forget, it was always the Jags.